and welcome to the Rachel Holmes Lifestyle Show. This is the special show where I talk to the world's most amazing, prolific, and innovative health and wellness specialists. And today, you are going to be blown away by the information in this interview. I'm going to be talking to Shana, and you will be blown away how incidents from your childhood, belief patterns, and behaviors can actually shape how you are looking and feeling right now. It's revolutionary. And once you open your mind to this kind of mindset coaching, it's going to really blow you away. I love this interview. I love talking to Shana, and it's really opened my eyes, and I know you're going to love it. So make sure that you share the video. Please subscribe. Let me know what you think, and make sure that you say hello on social media. So here's Shana.
Hi, Shana. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
So good. It's so fabulous to meet you here and spend half an hour with you. So I'm really excited. Really good.
Thank you.
Shana, tell me a little bit about your journey and how you have arrived at this point in your life.
Yes, so we all have journeys, right? And certainly mine brought me to doing this work. It was not something I thought about doing when I got out of high school or college. I actually started in sales and marketing, and I sold real estate for years. After about 15 years of being in the business, I was doing actually commercial finance and financing large apartment buildings and strip centers in Los Angeles, California. It was really stressful. The clientele was stressful. The business was stressful. I was not sleeping well. I was not eating well. I wasn't taking care of myself. And let's face it, I mean, we don't really learn how to take care of ourselves, right? Nobody teaches that, right? We take care of our cars and our appliances, but we don't really take care of ourselves or know how to. And so I was in my early 30s, and I started having this string of small health issues, one right after another. And I knew at a very intuitive level it was a wake-up call. Like, it doesn't just happen like that unless you're supposed to pay attention. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention right at the beginning, like we sometimes don't in life. And it just got worse and worse. And I was going to doctors, and I was saying, I know that some people just want to take medication, but I actually want to know how to fix my body. Like, I see that this is happening, and I'm too young to be having this happen. And nobody really knew what to say to me. They just kept wanting to give me prescriptions. And it was really scary to me, considering I was so young. And so I had always been big into research. I did a lot of it in college. And so I just started researching, and I just started learning about the inside of my body and how it works and what it needs. And through that journey, I kind of went on a 6 or 7 year healing journey myself. And what I really realized is that the physical was just the starting point, that there are so many more components to our overall wellness. And in my healing journey, there were mental mindsets and negative thought patterns that I had that were contributing to my physical, state that I was in. Also emotional stuff, so I was really surprised to go back into my childhood and realize that there was things that had happened that were painful that I had never really been able to get over or express, and that too played a part in it. So it kind of, I thought it was really just a physical thing, but what I realized is that there are so many other components, and I did a lot of things wrong. I tried a lot of things that didn't work. I, spent a lot of money on things that didn't work. And at the end of it, people were like, how'd you do this? And how can I do this? And can you help me? And so I did. I was still working my other job. I started helping people, and I started seeing how quickly, because I took all the things that worked, how quickly they were getting a result, and people were blown away. And so eventually I woke up one day and I just said, this is my life work. This is why I'm here, is to help people in this way. And I've developed kind of my own little secret sauce of how to do that. And get great results for people. So it was really just born of a natural place of my own desire to help my own body.
And where does it start, Shana? Someone possibly watching this interview has been on multiple diets and, been backwards and forwards. Maybe it's somebody in their 40s, in their 50s that is thinking, gosh, I've got that 15 pounds and I've lost that 15 pounds and I've gained that 15 pounds. And they know that there's a lot more to it, the sleep and the stress and everything else that's going on. Where did we start? Where would you start with somebody like that?
Well, what's interesting in the work that I do, so it's based a lot around energy. So, you know, typically the conversation of energy is either science-based or spirituality-based, right? There's two different conversations that go on. And for some people, both of those are we kind of shut down. You know, like, I don't know much about science, I don't know much about spirituality. But the truth is, I like to make it really easy for people to understand and grasp, because we use it every day, right? And before we are cells and molecules, we are energy. So the absolute base root of what we are is energy. Same with the desk I'm sitting at and the chair I'm sitting on, all matter, right? And when we can shift that energy, right, before it gets to the level of cells and molecules, our experience of life is different. And so my approach to helping people with like weight loss in their body is kind of like nothing else that's out there, because I'm really working at this very core level. So things like emotions and thoughts are energy. And when we have them, they are oftentimes, if we're not expressing our emotions, they're getting stuck in our body. And this goes back to even things like acupuncture, right? Acupuncture is moving energy around the body. It's moving chi by placing the needles. So it's a very old understanding of how the body operates. But if we can release that stuck energy basically in the body, then we can be free to be who we are. So the way I experience people is not that we need to be different, or that we need to, you know, raise our energy as something to put over the top of our life. It's really like we are whole, perfect, and complete at the core of who we are. It's just we've got gunk on the top of it, meaning negative thought patterns and old emotions and people's ideas of who we are and our own ideas that are false of who we are. So at the core, we are energy and light that is magnificent and powerful and radiant. And I think sometimes we're more afraid of how powerful we are than we are of staying stuck with all of this stuff over the top. And so when I work with people, I'm just releasing what I see as the untruth, right? The things we've bought into in life that aren't really who we are, so that people can be free with who they are. And so food, like how that plays in with food, is that food is a lid, right? So we eat because we don't want to feel those emotions. We don't want to be conscious of those thought patterns. And so it's keeping a lid on that stuff. And what's fascinating in the work that I do is that when you gently start to take the lid off, the emotions will come up and out. And if you're guided in that process of knowing what's happening, meaning you're not just all of a sudden experiencing all this stuff that's new emotion, you're just purging, right, old stuff. And when you can move through that quickly, it's way less painful than using the food or the alcohol or whatever you use to keep the lid on year in and year out. So,
whoa, it's a big one, isn't it? I bet lots of people watching this will be like, yeah, I need to do that. So what was that? Is it a manual therapy? Is it a talk therapy? You know, is it a journaling? How do you kind of start? Where do you start with that?
Yeah, great question. It is talk therapy. So how it occurs for me, this is how I describe it to people. So, you know, when you're reading a book and you read something that pops out to you, a sentence or something that's interesting and impactful, you might highlight it with a highlighter and say, oh yeah, that was good. That really, I felt something with that. So when people tell me like their life story, and when they tell me things about, I'll say, what are the major events in your life that have gone on, both positive and negative? And they'll start to, immediately go to certain things in their head. And when they start to talk about it, it gets highlighted for me if there's a lot of energy around it. So as you say something, I'll say, okay, right there. And then I'll ask questions and go deeper and go deeper and go deeper to what the core is, like where that decision got made. So it's fascinating because, I'm sure you've heard this in many different ways, but you could have two children growing up in the same household, and both of them are going to have an entirely different experience of what that was. Or even take like a little girl whose father disappears at some point in her life, she might make the decision, I'm unlovable, because the father went away and he never came back. And so if she's got that belief pattern, I'm unlovable, she's going to pick a mate out of I'm unlovable. She's going to pick a career out of I'm unlovable. She's going to, all areas of her life are going to have that at play. Now, another little girl could have the same happen, and she could decide, my dad was just messed up. He couldn't be there for us, right? And then she'll pick a mate out of my dad was messed up. She'll pick a career out of my dad was messed up, right? So we make these decisions about events. And it's completely unique to each individual. And when we can go back and understand the decision we made, and we can release that decision, then we no longer have that running in our subconscious and running our life basically from the background. Whoa. So it's powerful work. And for some people, like you said, that have been on diets after diets after diets, it's a completely non-linear approach that is very effective at a long-term result, like kind of handling it once and for all.
So this kind of stuck programming, or these decisions that we've made, and everybody have made them at some point, later on down the line, is that those decisions manifesting in the body as ill health, as stress, as weight gain, as, you know, migraines, headaches, digestion? Is that the kind of things that are manifesting, you know, with these thought processes, this energetic link, do you think?
Yes, exactly. So I've had the pleasure of speaking with, you know, medical intuitives and people that have been doing this type of work and understanding the mental emotional link to the physical, you know, body. And every single one that I talk to, because I ask people, because I'm very curious of what their opinion is when they're working at the energetic level, I said, do you feel like there is a mental and emotional component to all physical disease? And the answer is 100% yes. Wow. So there is, you know, it's like once it gets to the level of physical, it's been on so many different levels for a long time, right? So like, I think the future of taking care of our physical body is understanding that we can get it at the point of energy. So when we are, right now, when we go to a doctor, we have like symptomatic things in our body. It's already gone to the point of our cells, right? Our physicality. But before that, and this is, again, Chinese medicine understands this, that it all starts at the point of energy. So there's a shift in the energy in the body before you see the symptoms that happen at the cellular level or the physical level. Mm. So I feel like once we start to understand like who we really are, what we're made of, right, and start to be able to work with that, there'll be really exciting discoveries in how to get it before it has to be something that's symptomatic for us.
Absolutely fascinating, groundbreaking, Shana, it really is. So your client comes in and you start with talk therapy, and then is there a process? Do you say look at nutrition and then maybe look at sleep or stress, or is there a process, or is everybody going on a very individual journey and you kind of feeling through your clients intuitively? You know, is there a kind of a program?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is completely individual, because that person's, whether you want to call it their soul, their spirit, their energy, tells me where to go. So it's fascinating because a lot of people are having a conversation, like someone says, I want to lose weight. And a lot of my clients come to me because they either have had blood work they don't like, or they want to lose weight, they're unhappy with their body. That's never the real issue, right? That's the symptom. That's what we're seeing in our physicality that's telling us, hey, something is not right here. And so we come in and we go, well, I want to lose weight. But it's really, the question is, why do we do what we do, right? Why do we eat to the bottom of the box of cookies? Why do I, you know what I mean? Why do I use food or alcohol or whatever I'm using? Even things like overworking or over-exercising, I mean, are things that we can turn to not feel our feelings or be present to where we're at. So, and those are even trickier because society will praise people for that, right? So they'll say, you're amazing because you work so hard, or you're amazing, you're so fit because, you know, you're over-exercising your body. And there's always, you know, usually something underneath that, right? So, so people will come in and sometimes they're not even ready for a conversation about food. So I had a client one time who was grieving, and she had gained 15 pounds in like 2 months. Yeah. And she was going through a really terrible time. And when she sat down, I said, this is not even, we can't begin with talking about food. We need to begin with the grief. We need to begin with releasing some of that energy out of her system so that she can even be present to talking about food. So it can go different ways. I mean, sometimes food is the first conversation, and sometimes the food conversation is 3 or 4 sessions in when there's a readiness and a listening for it. And we've gotten rid of some of the other stuff that's in the way.
Wow. And how long does this take, Shana? Is this, this is, you know, it's taken us years to get here. It's not going to be a 2-week quick fix, I am sure. So, you know, do clients spend, you know, 6 months with you, a year with you? Is it, you know, how do these old habits become unlearned and we become deprogrammed to it?
Yeah, so it's typically, I usually start with working with people for 3 months. I tell them it's usually 3 to 6 months, depending on, where their health is, what they're working on. Some people like to continue on like kind of in a maintenance, like reconnecting to the information, once a month or twice a month, like going forward. But I work pretty intensively with people. So I kind of bring you like into my energy system, and I kind of say, hey, like, here's how you've been living, and here's the possibility, right, for you. Here's where I see that you can live at, and I'm going to kind of hold your hand and show you how to get here and then how to maintain that. And that's a huge part, like I call it alignment. But so many times, like when we do lose weight on a diet or something like that, we can't maintain it because we haven't even let our brain like adjust to what we've done, right? We don't believe we can have that. So if there's those belief systems running under the surface that say, let's say somebody was heavier when they were young. And so the belief system is, I'm the heavy girl, right? And so the heavy girl is always going to go on a diet and she's going to lose weight. And then she's going to lose weight and look in the mirror and be like, wait, this is not in alignment with my belief system, right? And this is all unconscious. Like we don't consciously say this to ourselves. But if it's not in alignment with the belief system, you'll go back to the belief system. Right? You will automatically make sure you go back to what you believe about yourself. And so that's the power of changing what we believe about ourselves, is then your physical body and everything will align with what you believe. So if you all of a sudden start believing, I'm fit, I'm in shape, I feel great, you'll start making choices based on that belief system.
Yeah.
So it's getting to the core of it instead of trying to go over the top of it, right? So we often say, like, people feel deprived oftentimes on diets, like, oh, I can't eat the things I want, it's, this is annoying, and you feel like you're holding on to the side of a cliff, like, I really want that cookie, but I can't have it. Yeah.
Totally.
And so when you get at the core of energy, you don't feel deprived, right? It shifts. Like I actually have clients tell me they're blown away and they're like, this is so weird. Like I used to love sugar and I don't love it anymore. Like they don't resonate with it anymore. And so they'll go and like, they'll even say, okay, tonight I'm going to like have a piece of cake, and they'll go to the event and they'll call me the next day. They're like, it was there sitting in front of me. I didn't eat it. I don't get it. Like, how is this possible? Right? Like I'm the person that loves sugar. So it just, things shift in ways that people are like, it kind of blows people's mind.
So would somebody maybe, is it journaling helpful? So, when a client would come to you, they have a bit of a roadmap of where they're at, how they're feeling, a lot of women especially suddenly, get to a certain age or a certain point and suddenly like, whoa, how did I get here? Where am I going? What's happening? I'm not happy. I'm stressed. And in the UK, many women go to the GP, and the first thing the GP does or the doctor does is put them on antidepressants. They're just such a big thing here in the UK now. So many women over 40 are on antidepressants and taking medication. And then once they're on that road, it becomes very, very difficult to come off. And so many side effects, long term that we even really don't know about yet. So ultimately, people want to be happy. And I think, to the beginning of the journey, they think, well, I'm going to lose this weight and that will make me happy. But you're going so much deeper, so much deeper. I mean, it's just, it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So are there any practical steps that people can do perhaps just at home on their own? How can they kind of start this journey a little bit?
Yeah. The number one thing to me is awareness. So when I talk to anybody about this information, like everything I'm sharing with you today, people start to naturally look into their life, right? They start to go, what do I believe about myself? Or what do I, what's happened to me in my childhood that I might be holding on to? So it starts there with asking yourself the question, and journaling is a great way to start writing down like what comes, because I believe like our internal intuitive system tells us, it's like our own guidance system. And so many times we don't listen to our guidance system, we listen to somebody else's, right? And that's their guidance system that works for them, right? So if we can learn to tap into ours and start listening to it, like so many times I'll say to clients, like they'll go, well, what is it? And I'm like, I don't know, what is it? Like, let's look, let's talk it through. Let's start to just explore and see what you feel, because sometimes we get very disconnected from even ourselves and like knowing how we feel and knowing, what we might be holding back or what might be in our body that we don't realize is in there. And so it's like just asking yourself those questions and starting to journal about it, starting to become aware, and then, you know, having somebody that can guide you through the process, right? Because it's amazing to me how human beings are built, because we are built to not see all of ourselves, right? It's impossible for any one human being to see all these aspects. We have these hidden parts of ourselves, or these blind spots. And we need people to help us see what we can't see. And that's really where I feel like my role is to just guide people to themselves, to the aspects of themselves that they can't see, because the second you can see it, you can do something about it. When you can't see it, it hides in the background and it runs your life from there. And how do you do anything about it? You can't see it, right? So it's just more and more awareness. Like, I really feel like what I do is provide people greater awareness about themselves. And then when you see more about yourself, you see more about other people too. You start seeing things in life that you haven't seen before. And so it's just a process, like asking yourself those deeper questions. Like if you say to yourself, gosh, you know, Shana said this, and now I'm really feeling like, when I was 10, this happened to me, and like, that was kind of sad for me. And then it's saying, why? Why was that sad for me, right? And then going deeper and writing, okay, why was that sad? Okay, tell me more about that, right? And so every time we say those things, we just keep accessing more information that's inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a therapy. It is a therapy, I suppose. In the US, therapy is kind of very accepted in the norm. In the UK, it's not so mainstream. You know, people are thinking, is this going to be painful? Am I going to be reliving unhappy times or unhappy memories? And does it have to be painful? Is it a painful kind of journey to begin with?
No, it's actually a journey of freedom. And I'll talk a little bit about happiness, because I love that you brought that up, because everything that we do in our life is chasing happiness, right? If you want a job that makes you a lot of money, it's because you think a lot of money is going to make you happy. Like, if you trace anything back that you do, it's always because we're trying to find this happiness, right? And for most people, it's elusive, right? Like, it's somewhere out there, and I need to like chase that. To me, in my personal journey and what I see with my clients, happiness comes when we know ourselves and we can be ourselves fully in the world. That, and then guess what follows all of that? When you're being yourself fully in the world, you're usually getting rewarded monetarily for that. You're usually, you know what I mean, attracting great people into your life. So all the things we're chasing after are a byproduct of being you fully in the world. Meaning you're not held back by lack and limitations and things like that. It's just peeling that onion back so you can be all of yourself. And it's not a painful process. A painful process is continuing to eat or drink or do whatever, right? Struggle with your weight, try diets, have that not work. That is painful. Like, it's actually very fascinating that a human emotion can only last 60 to 90 seconds.
Okay, right.
So when we're afraid to show our emotions, like, we're really afraid of 60 to 90 seconds. And this is how this work gets really powerful, is because we start to see, wait a second, we're like afraid of something that's really not that big of a deal. And we're not going back like in therapy and really always talking about our past. We're releasing it, right? And it happens really quickly. And then the feeling that happens on the other side of releasing it is like this, like expansive freedom, right? And I'm glad you brought up people being on medication too for depression, because I tell people when they come to work with me, I'll say, you know, what's going on in your body? And they'll tell me all these different things. Like, I have indigestion, I have heartburn, you know, I'm constipated, I have digestive issues, I'm on medication for depression and all these things. And I say to them, what if none of that is you, right? Because we self-identify, we say, I'm depressed. I'm a depressed person, right? Therefore, I'm on medication. I say, what if you're really not, right? What if it's just that there's all this stuff under the surface that needs to come out? And then you're going to experience yourself in a whole new way. And when we say that to ourselves, like, what if I'm actually not, right? We start to separate ourselves from that so-called diagnosable state, right? Because as you know, like, so many times depression can even be caused by lack of proper nutrients, like not getting what your body needs to function properly. So when we start giving the body everything it needs to work properly, it's amazing how it can heal itself. in so many different ways. And so I've had a number of people feel like they were a depressed or anxious person, and at the end of the process, they don't identify with that at all. They don't feel that way.
Really interesting. And you talked about energy, and kind of throwing into the mix then obviously is exercise, movement.
Yes.
That gives us energy, it makes us feel positive, it releases the happy hormones.
Yep.
What's your standpoint on exercise? You know, is it moving more, walking, getting out with nature, or going to that boot camp class and you know, working out really hard, or kind of where are you on that continuum?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it just depends on where they're at. So if someone's not moving their body at all, then I just tell them, you don't need 20 minutes a day walking. I just want you to walk 10 minutes out your door and 10 minutes back, period. Like, I don't want you to like try to, you know what I mean, go in some big regimen that is going to be, you know, difficult. I just want you to like start moving your body. And I'm a huge fan because, again, from energy, a lot of people's relationship to exercise is they hate it and it's difficult and they don't want to do it and they're dragging themselves to a gym or to a fitness class. I love to find something that you love, because when you love something, you're going to bring that energy to it. It's going to feel great for you. So whether it's dancing or whether it's whatever it is, right, that moves your body and circulates your blood, because we're built to move, right? We're not built to sit in chairs all day long. Yeah. So it's trying different things. I give people like a list of all these even like really out there things to try, because it's just about experimenting and seeing what brings you joy, what makes you happy, and do that, right? Because that we're actually going to do. If we enjoy something, we'll do it. If it's a nightmare, we'll do it for a little bit, but then likely we won't do it anymore. And so I think it's super important to move your body. I mean, we are built to. And at whatever level someone's at, like if someone's an elite athlete and they're working with me, then they're going to continue doing what they do so well, right? It's not hard for them. But if somebody doesn't move at all, then we just start slow. And it's really connecting to that energy of like, I love this.
Shana, if people need to find out more and they want to start doing some research, they want to know about your work or any books that you have written or recommend, or where can they find out more about this? This is such a massive conversation, and this is like the tip of the iceberg, even the less of the tip. So where can...
Absolutely. So my website is my name, which is shanaekadal.com, which is SHANA. And there I have a program called the Frequency Cleanse, which is an online program if someone wants to find out a little bit more about the information. I also coach privately, one-on-one, by Skype or phone or in person in my office in California. And so there's a section on my website that says private coaching. If that's something that's of interest or we want to have a conversation or a consultation, you can fill in your information there, and my team will set up an appointment and go from there.
Cool. And any other wider reading that people could look into, do you think? Any other research that people could do on this? It's such an innovative topic.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different books. I'm not a fan of some of them because they get really into the science of it, and I feel like that makes people, you know, kind of shy away from it because it gets kind of like out there. But I'm actually going to start releasing a set of videos. So if you look me up on Facebook and you follow me on Facebook, they'll be released there or through my website, through my blog, and they're really going to be just educational on what this is, how it works. And I'll break into like different little aspects that we couldn't touch on today. But it's like I see that there's a hole in people understanding how powerful this work is. And a lot of people writing about it make it really difficult to understand. And so that's why I'm going to produce these videos over the coming months so that people can get tidbits of information to apply in their life that is easy to understand.
Okay. And you've got lots of little videos on your Facebook, because I was looking at those today. So there's loads of stuff that people can access, and you've got some great tips there, haven't you, and ideas, and just so that people can understand this concept, because it's such a big concept and it is so different and so innovative. And you've got lots of baby bite-sized videos that are really good. So yeah, anyone can access those at any time, can't they?
Yep, exactly. It's all free, and all the videos I'll put out on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll get all of the videos, because I'll just put them out, you know, periodically, at least once a week, and maybe even, you know, more as it goes on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Shana, I'd love to thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure and a really, really mind blowing, actually, of all this great information. So good luck with all your work. And thank you so much for taking the time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.